We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Buddha. Have you ever experienced a sudden sense of déjà vu, feeling as though you've been somewhere or done something before? Or perhaps you've felt a deep connection to something or someone, as if you've known them for lifetimes. These feelings can leave us questioning, where do these sensations come from? What if our experiences are not just confined to this life? What if we carry memories from the past? Memories of lives we've already lived? Hello, and welcome back to our channel, Son.Mindfulness. We're so glad to have you with us today. Have you ever wondered about the origins of your being, not just where you were born or who your family is, but where you truly come from? What if the answers to these questions lie not in this life, but in past lives through the continuous cycle of reincarnation? In today's video, we will delve deep into these questions, exploring the Buddhist understanding of reincarnation, karma, and the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. In today's world, many of us feel uncertain or fearful of the unknown, especially when it comes to death. We live in a time of great change and turbulence, where understanding the cycle of life and death can provide us with much-needed peace and clarity. What if there was a way to understand life's challenges and our purpose on a deeper level? Understanding reincarnation is not just a philosophical concept, it's a tool for personal growth. It helps us navigate life's ups and downs with greater wisdom and compassion. At Son.Mindfulness, we are committed to offering insights that help you live with more awareness, mindfulness, and compassion. Our goal is to provide you with practical wisdom that can transform your life, bringing you peace, balance, and spiritual growth. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you'll join our community, where we share valuable teachings that can guide you on your spiritual journey. Now, let's explore the fascinating concept of reincarnation and how it connects to our present lives. Why is it important for us to understand this cycle? How can knowing about past lives and karma shape the way we live today? Stay with us as we dive into this enlightening exploration. Chapter 1. The age-old question about our origins. 1. The timeless question of human origins. Have you ever felt a deep sense of wonder when you gaze at the vast sky and wonder, where did I truly come from? This question isn't about your family or birthplace, but about the essence of your existence. Where did you come from before this life? This question has echoed through human hearts for centuries. It's not just a curiosity, it's a longing to understand our true origins. Why do we feel a connection to something beyond this life? Where does this longing arise from, and why does it persist? 2. Creation and origin in other religions. Across cultures, different answers have been proposed. In Christianity, it's believed that God creates the soul at conception, granting each person a divine purpose. This belief offers a comforting view of life, one where everything has a higher meaning. In Hinduism, the soul is eternal and experiences countless rebirths. The soul learns and evolves with each lifetime, growing through different experiences. Buddhism, however, doesn't teach that we are created by a divine being. Instead, it focuses on the cycle of birth and death, known as samsara, shaped by our desires and ignorance. We aren't born because of a God's will, but due to the cravings and attachments that bind us to this cycle. These attachments keep us trapped in endless rebirth, continuing the cycle of suffering. 3. Buddhism's explanation, the cycle of rebirth. In Buddhism, the question of where we come from is tied to understanding samsara, the endless cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. The Buddha's enlightenment led him to discover that suffering arises from our attachment to life, to desires, and to the illusion of a permanent self. He taught that the cycle of existence is not created by a god, but by our cravings and ignorance. We are not created by a divine being. Instead, we continue in this cycle because of our own actions and attachments. The Buddha once said, "Through countless births I wandered, seeking but not finding the builder of this house. Here, the house refers to the cycle of samsara, and the builder is our craving and ignorance. This is the root of our suffering. Our desires and attachments keep us bound to the cycle of birth and death. The Buddha's teachings show that we are not victims of a predetermined fate. Instead, we are shaped by our actions, our karma, which influences the course of our future lives. Our consciousness, like a river, flows through each lifetime, changing yet remaining the same. We are not the same person in each life, but our past actions influence our future existence. Through this understanding, the Buddha taught that the key to freedom is not to question who created us, but to break free from the cycle of craving and suffering. Number 4. The path to liberation. Understanding our origins is less important than understanding how to break the cycle of rebirth. The Buddha's ultimate message was not about where we came from, but how we can transcend this cycle. He showed that through wisdom and mindfulness, we can free ourselves from the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. By letting go of attachments and cultivating compassion, we can end the cycle of suffering. As we explore the origins of our existence, let's now look at the evidence for past lives. What if remembering past lives is not just a belief, but something real? In the next chapter, we will delve into stories and research that point to the continuity of consciousness. Let's journey into the fascinating topic of evidence of past lives and how it illuminates the Buddhist view of reincarnation. Chapter 2. Evidence of past lives. 1. The Buddha's recollection of past lives. Have you ever wondered if the memories you hold today are truly your own? Can they be remnants of past experiences, from lives you've already lived? After attaining enlightenment, the Buddha was able to recall his past lives in vivid detail. He didn't just have fleeting impressions of his previous existences. No, he remembered specific names, families, and even the foods he ate. In his deep state of concentration beneath the Bodhi tree, the Buddha saw the vast expanse of his past. He spoke of remembering. I remembered my many births. 1 birth, 2 births, 3 births, many eons of cosmic evolution and devolution. This wasn't a vague recollection. It was a clear, comprehensive understanding of his journey through countless lifetimes. Imagine for a moment the impact of recalling so many different lives. How would such an understanding of one's past affect the present? For the Buddha, this clarity about his previous lives deepened his understanding of suffering. He saw how desires and attachments from past lives had influenced his present existence. The Buddha's memories were not just facts, they were revelations. They illuminated the nature of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Number 2. Modern research into past lives. The Buddha's experience of past life recollection is not just confined to ancient texts. In the modern world, researchers have delved into the possibility of past life memories. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, devoted much of his career to investigating cases of past life memories. He documented over 2,500 cases of children who spontaneously recalled details of past lives. These children, typically between the ages of 2 and 6, would often speak about people, places, and events they could not have known through normal means. What's even more remarkable is that many of these memories were verifiable. Dr. Stevenson's team would investigate these cases by speaking to the families and checking the details the children provided. In some instances, the children were able to lead researchers to locations they had never visited or describe individuals they had never met. How is this possible? Could these children's memories be simply vivid dreams or fabrications? While skeptics argue that cultural influences or the power of suggestion may explain these memories, the consistency and accuracy of many cases are hard to dismiss. For instance, children have described past lives in distant regions, sometimes even speaking languages they had never been taught. These verifiable memories challenge our understanding of consciousness and time. They suggest that perhaps Like the Buddha's recollections, our memories are not confined to just one lifetime. 3. Notable case examples. Let me share with you one such case that stands out. Shanti Devi, a young girl from India, began speaking about her past life when she was just 4 years old. She described a previous life in a town called Mathura, which she had never visited. She even gave the name of her former husband, Kedarnath, and described their house in vivid detail. When her family reached out to Kedarnath, they were stunned by how accurate Shanti Devi's memories were. She even recognized him and other family members when they met. This case became one of the most famous examples of past life memories, documented and investigated by a team of researchers. What does this teach us? It challenges the conventional view that our consciousness begins and ends with each life. If memories from past lives can be recalled and verified, it suggests that our understanding of the self and consciousness needs to be re-examined. In Buddhism, this idea is not foreign. The Buddha's teachings align with these modern cases, showing that consciousness is a continuum, an ongoing stream of experiences carried from one life to the next. This continuity of consciousness does not rely on a permanent soul, but on the karmic imprints left by past actions. These stories, both ancient and modern, invite us to question the nature of our existence. Could it be that, like the Buddha, we too have lived many lives before this one? If so, what lessons have we carried forward? How do our actions in this life shape the lives that follow? As we reflect on the evidence of past lives, one question arises. How does consciousness move from one life to the next? If memories and experiences can transcend lifetimes, how does the mind stream continue? In the next chapter, we will explore how consciousness travels between lives, diving into the Buddhist perspective on the continuity of consciousness and how karma shapes our journey through samsara. Let's continue this journey of discovery and understanding. Chapter 3: How Consciousness Travels Between Lives. 1. The concept of mind stream in Buddhism. Have you ever wondered how consciousness flows from one life to the next? In Buddhism, consciousness is not a fixed soul that moves through time. It is more like a continuous stream. Think of a river. The water that flows past a given point is constantly changing, but the river itself remains the same, though always in motion. In the same way, consciousness flows through lives, ever-changing yet continuous. The stream of consciousness is not static. It evolves, carrying the imprints of past actions, experiences, and desires. While the self is not permanent, this flow of consciousness continues from one life to another. This idea challenges our usual understanding of identity. If we're not a fixed self, what then is our true nature? The Buddha's teachings guide us to look beyond this illusion of a permanent self. Buddhism. In Western philosophy, we often think of the self as a solid, permanent entity. But in Buddhism, this is an illusion. There is no unchanging self that travels from one life to the next. Instead, what continues is the mind stream, the flow of consciousness. This stream carries the effects of our karma or actions into future lifetimes. The Buddha described this in simple terms. Just as a flame is transferred from one lamp to another, so does consciousness pass from one life to another. A flame is not the same flame, but it still carries the energy of the original. Likewise, our consciousness is not the same from life to life, but it is connected. This connection is not through a permanent soul, but through the continuity of our thoughts, desires, and actions. Consider the case of a river. Though the water that flows through it changes with each moment, the river itself remains intact. The flow continues, though it is never exactly the same. In the same way, we may change, but our actions and thoughts leave behind traces, karmic imprints that continue. These imprints guide us through our future lives, shaping the experiences we will have. This continuous flow is what binds us to samsara, the cycle of birth and rebirth. 3. Karma's role in rebirth. But how do our actions shape the next phase of this journey? In Buddhism, karma plays a central role. Karma is the law of cause and effect. It tells us that every action we take, every thought we have, creates an imprint on our mind stream. These karmic imprints are carried from one life to the next, influencing our experiences. But karma is not a punishment or a reward. It is simply the result of our actions, whether good or bad. For example, if you act with kindness and compassion, the seeds of those actions will bear fruit in future lives. If you act with greed or hatred, those seeds will also manifest, leading to suffering. But here's the crucial point. Karma does not dictate inevitable fate. It does not determine exactly how our future will unfold. Rather, it creates conditions. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. The seed will grow, but the conditions, such as the soil, water, and sunlight, affect how it will flourish. Similarly, our actions create conditions for future experiences, but we still have the power to shape them. Through mindfulness and awareness, we can transform our karma, planting new seeds for positive outcomes in the future. This is where the teachings of the Buddha come into play. While our past actions create karmic imprints, the Buddha showed us that we can change our course. Through right understanding, right intention, and right action, we can break free from the cycle of suffering. Karma, in this sense, is not deterministic. It is a force that can be shaped through conscious effort. The power to change. Take the story of a warrior, General Kato from Japan, who was known for his compassion. In his youth, he was a fierce warrior, fighting in countless battles. But later in life, he turned to Buddhism and embraced a peaceful way of living. His transformation didn't erase his past actions, but it changed the course of his future. The good karma he accumulated through acts of kindness and compassion began to outweigh his past deeds. He became a revered figure, not for his military conquests, but for his wisdom and kindness. This story illustrates that even after a life full of negative karma, one can change the flow of consciousness. Through awareness and action, we can shape a new future, one that moves us closer to liberation from samsara. Now that we understand how consciousness flows and the influence of karma, we must ask, how does our consciousness continue into the next life? What guides this transition? In the next chapter, we will explore karma and rebirth, and how our actions and attachments determine the conditions of our rebirth. Let's delve deeper into how karma shapes our next life and how we can use this knowledge to create a better future. Chapter 4: Karma and Rebirth. Understanding karma. Have you ever wondered why certain events unfold in your life? Why do some people seem to have a smooth path while others face constant challenges? In Buddhism, the answer lies in the concept of karma. But karma is not what many people think. It's not a form of punishment, nor is it mere fate. Karma is simply the law of cause and effect. What we do, think, and say shapes our future. Every action driven by intention leaves a mark on our mind stream. This means that every act, no matter how small, influences who we become and the lives we touch. For example, think about a simple act of kindness. That smile you gave to a stranger. The time you helped someone without expecting anything in return. These actions create positive karma, which will ripple through your future, shaping the conditions of your next life. 2. How karma affects rebirth. Now, imagine that you are standing at the edge of a field. The choices you make in this life, whether they are guided by wisdom or ignorance, determine which path you will walk. In Buddhism, karma shapes the conditions of rebirth. It decides where and in what circumstances we are reborn. This isn't a random process. Your actions, both positive and negative, create conditions for the life you will lead next. For instance, if you act with compassion and generosity, you may be reborn into a life of ease and support. On the other hand, if you live with greed, hatred, or ignorance, your next life may be filled with challenges. But here's something important to understand. Karma does not determine the exact specifics of your future. It doesn't set a fixed, unchangeable destiny. Instead, karma creates conditions that influence the circumstances of your rebirth. Just as the soil, water, and sunlight influence how a seed grows, your actions shape the environment in which you will be reborn. You are not condemned by your past actions. You are simply guided by them, with the opportunity to change course at any time. 3. Transforming karma. But what if you don't like the path you're on? What if you want to transform your karma? The good news is that you can. Through mindfulness, ethical behavior, and conscious choices, you have the power to change your karma. Take the story of a famous warrior-turned-monk, General Yue Fei of China. He was once known for his military prowess and fierce loyalty to his country. However, after years of fighting and witnessing the suffering caused by war, he began to question his life's purpose. He chose to leave behind his life of violence and seek a path of peace and wisdom. This decision was a profound change in his karma. Instead of continuing to create negative karma through acts of violence, he shifted his actions to cultivate compassion and wisdom. His transformation shows us that no matter how deep the karmic imprints of our past, we can always change the flow of our future. Through mindfulness, we can observe our actions and thoughts. Through ethical behavior, we can align our actions with our highest values. Every conscious choice we make can plant new seeds for a more positive future. By doing so, we can begin to create new karma that supports our spiritual growth and brings us closer to liberation. But what does it take to make such a change? It requires awareness and effort. It's not an easy task, but as the Buddha taught, the path to freedom is not about avoiding our past. It's about understanding it and transforming it. When we realize that our actions have consequences, we begin to live with greater awareness. We stop acting out of habit or impulse and start acting from a place of wisdom and compassion. This process of transformation is gradual. It's like planting a tree. At first, you may not see the results immediately. But with patience and care, the seeds you plant will grow into something beautiful. The same is true for transforming karma. With each mindful action, you are shaping a future that reflects the person you are becoming. Before, the power of conscious choices. You may be thinking, can I really change my karma? The answer is yes. The Buddha taught that we are the owners of our karma and that we are heirs to our actions. This means we have the power to shape our future through the choices we make today. It's not about being perfect. It's about being mindful of our intentions, learning from our mistakes, and striving to act with wisdom and compassion. Each small act, when done with awareness, can change the course of our lives. For example, if you find yourself caught in anger, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what is driving this anger? How can I respond with compassion instead? This moment of awareness can create a new karmic imprint, one that leads to greater peace, not only for you, but for those around you. Now that we've seen how karma shapes our lives and how we can transform it, let's consider something deeper. If our actions create karma, what happens when we begin to see the truth of our actions? What happens when we realize that there is no permanent self? No fixed soul. In the next chapter, we'll explore the paradox of no self and how understanding this teaching can free us from the cycle of suffering. Let's take this next step on our journey to deeper understanding. Chapter 5, The Paradox of No Self 1. The concept of anatta, no self, in Buddhism. Have you ever asked yourself, who am I really? When you look within, what do you see? Buddhism teaches a profound answer. There is no permanent, unchanging self. Our identities are not fixed, but are instead collections of ever-changing physical and mental processes. Consider your body. It is constantly changing. Cells die, regenerate, and evolve. You are not the same person today as you were yesterday. Similarly, your thoughts and emotions are fleeting. They come and go, shifting like clouds in the sky. If everything about you is impermanent, who are you truly? This is the concept of anatta, or no self, in Buddhism. It challenges our usual idea of a solid, permanent identity. It asks us to question the very nature of who we are. 2. The evolving nature of the self. In Buddhism, the self is not a fixed entity. It is a dynamic process, always evolving. Imagine a river. The water that flows through it is never the same, but the river remains continuous. Likewise, our self is not static, but evolves with each moment, each experience. The Buddha's teachings reveal that we are a collection of constantly changing elements, thoughts, feelings, memories, and experiences. These elements come together to form the self we perceive, but they are never the same from one moment to the next. What persists is not a permanent self, but a flow of consciousness, a mind stream that carries the imprints of past actions. This evolving process of the self carries us through each life, shaping our experiences and actions, but always changing. 3. How understanding no self helps with rebirth. If there is no permanent self, how does this help us with rebirth? Buddhism teaches that the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth is driven by our attachment to the idea of a permanent self. We cling to the illusion that there is a solid I that must be protected, defended, and maintained. This attachment creates desires, fears, and suffering, which lead to karma, the seeds of future experiences. When we recognize that there is no permanent self, we can begin to let go of these attachments. By releasing our attachment to a fixed identity, we break the cycle of craving that keeps us trapped in samsara. This realization frees us from the endless cycle of rebirth, allowing us to progress spiritually. Consider the story of General Guan Yu, a famous warrior from China. He was known for his strength and loyalty, but eventually realized the impermanence of his identity. Before his passing, Guan Yu shed his attachment to his warrior identity and embraced the understanding of impermanence. This shift allowed him to transcend his past actions and move closer to spiritual liberation. Like Guan Yu, we too can let go of the attachment to the self that binds us to suffering and rebirth. By recognizing the illusion of a permanent self, we can let go of our attachments and move forward in our spiritual journey. 4. Letting go of attachments and suffering. The recognition of no self helps us let go of attachments. When we stop clinging to our sense of self, we stop feeling the need to defend it or preserve it. This detachment brings peace as we no longer identify with the transient aspects of life. By releasing attachment to a fixed identity, we free ourselves from the cycle of suffering. This freedom allows us to experience life as it is, without the weight of ego. Now that we understand the paradox of no self, let's explore the connection between ancient wisdom and modern science. How does the understanding of impermanence relate to the world today? In the next chapter, we'll delve into science meets ancient wisdom and explore how Buddhist teachings align with modern scientific discoveries. Let's continue this journey of discovery. Chapter 6. Science meets ancient wisdom. 1. Science exploring consciousness. Have you ever wondered how the mind and body are connected? What if modern science could answer some of the ancient questions posed by Buddhism? For centuries, Buddhism has taught that consciousness is not confined to the body. Rather, it is a flowing stream that continues beyond the physical realm. Now, science is starting to explore the same idea. One fascinating phenomenon is called terminal lucidity. This is when people with severe brain damage, such as those with Alzheimer's disease, suddenly experience clarity before death. They may recognize loved ones, speak clearly, and recall memories that they hadn't been able to access for years. How is this possible? If the brain is damaged, how can the mind suddenly show signs of clarity? This phenomenon aligns with the Buddhist view that consciousness exists beyond the physical body. Even when the body fails, the consciousness continues, showing that there may be more to our minds than we once thought. Another intriguing case involves heart transplant recipients. Some have reported experiencing memories or preferences that seem to come from their donors. For example, a woman who received a heart transplant began craving foods she had never liked before. She suddenly developed a taste for beer and green peppers, foods the donor loved. How can this be explained? Is it possible that memories, or at least traits, are carried in the body in ways we don't fully understand? This connection between the body and the mind mirrors Buddhist ideas about the continuity of consciousness across lifetimes. Near-death experiences, NDEs, further challenge our understanding of consciousness. People who have been clinically dead and then revived often report similar experiences. A bright light, a sense of peace, and a feeling of being connected to everything. This universal experience suggests that consciousness may not end with the body's death, but may continue in some form. In Buddhism, this is reflected in the idea that consciousness transitions through different stages after death and continues into the next life. Science is beginning to explore these mysteries, bringing us closer to understanding what Buddhism has taught for millennia. 2. The convergence of science and Buddhism. What's remarkable is how modern science is beginning to find answers that echo Buddhist teachings. For example, neuroscience has studied how meditation affects the brain. Research shows that regular meditation practice can increase the gray matter in areas associated with attention, compassion, and self-awareness. This aligns perfectly with the Buddhist emphasis on mindfulness and meditation. Buddhism teaches that through focused meditation, we can develop greater awareness of the mind, allowing us to transcend suffering and ego. Furthermore, studies have shown that meditation can change the brain's structure, leading to increased emotional regulation and a deeper sense of peace. This is the same peace that Buddhist practitioners seek through mindfulness and meditation. By practicing mindfulness, Buddhists cultivate a heightened awareness of the present moment, allowing them to understand the nature of their thoughts and actions. This awareness leads to the dissolution of the ego and the illusion of a permanent self, ultimately breaking free from the cycle of suffering. The growing body of scientific research into consciousness and meditation supports the relevance of ancient Buddhist wisdom in modern times. Just as the Buddha encouraged his followers to look within to understand the mind, modern science is now exploring the same depths. Science and Buddhism, seemingly separate fields, are converging in their exploration of the mind and consciousness. As science and Buddhism continue to explore the nature of consciousness, what does it mean for us? If consciousness is indeed continuous, how does this understanding affect the way we live? In the next chapter, we will explore living with the knowledge of past lives. How can the understanding of reincarnation and karma transform our present lives? Let's continue our journey and discover the profound implications of living with the awareness of past lives. Conclusion: living with the knowledge of past lives. As we reach the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. Understanding that this life is just one chapter in an ongoing journey can deeply shift our perspective. When we realize that we are not defined by a single lifetime, the fear of death begins to fade. Death becomes less of an ending and more of a transition, a natural part of the cycle of existence. How does this change the way we live? It helps us approach life's challenges with a broader perspective. We stop fearing the unknown and begin to see life as an opportunity for growth, learning, and transformation. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone on the path toward wisdom, not something to be feared or avoided. Knowing that this life is one of many brings peace and a sense of purpose. Living with the awareness of rebirth allows us to approach each day with greater mindfulness. It encourages us to reflect on our actions, knowing they shape not only our present, but our future. Are your actions driven by kindness, compassion, and wisdom? Or are they fueled by anger, fear, and attachment? The Buddha's teachings remind us that every action, thought, and intention creates an imprint on our karma. These imprints affect not just our current life, but our future lives as well. If we live with mindfulness, understanding that each moment is an opportunity to create positive karma, we can change the trajectory of our journey. How can we apply this understanding today? We can start by being more conscious of our actions, ensuring that they align with our highest values. We can cultivate compassion, kindness, and generosity in our everyday lives. By doing so, we begin to transform our karma and move toward a future filled with peace, wisdom, and joy. The Buddha's teachings on living a purposeful life offer us a guide to living well. Ethical conduct, mindfulness, and compassion are the keys to a fulfilling life. Through ethical behavior, we align our actions with our values. Through mindfulness, we become more aware of our thoughts, words, and deeds, ensuring that they are rooted in wisdom. And through compassion, we open our hearts to others, recognizing that we are all interconnected in this journey. The choices we make today shape our future, both in this life and in the lives to come. By living with purpose and intention, we can create a life that is meaningful, peaceful, and free from suffering. I am deeply grateful that you have taken the time to reflect on these teachings. It is my hope that these insights have inspired you to approach life with a renewed sense of purpose. May you live each day with mindfulness, kindness, and wisdom. Remember, the journey does not end with this life. It continues, shaped by the actions we take today. I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What has resonated with you the most? Please continue to follow Son.Mindfulness as we explore these life-changing ideas together. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing and sharing it with others. Thank you for your time, and may you always be healthy, peaceful, and happy. May you find success in every step of your journey. Thank you.